Hello! Thank you very much for tuning in to watch this lecture, Iron Age Coins in Britain, New Advances Through Linked Open Data. Today, I'm going to introduce you to recent research that our team has been undertaking at the School of Archaeology and the Ashmolean Museum of Art and Archaeology at the University of Oxford. In this lecture, we'll explore some of the most fascinating material culture created in the last century and a half of prehistory in England through two intertwined projects, Iron Age Coins in Britain and the Celtic Coin Index Digital. These interrelated projects involve a team of people, so I'm really presenting on behalf of us all. I'll start with some basic information about British Iron Age coins: when, how, and where they were made. After that, I'll introduce you to the Celtic Coin Index and that digital project, and then to our Iron Age Coins in Britain project. A key goal of our work has been to get people excited about these amazing little artifacts, so I'll also present some of the public engagement work we've been conducting. The Iron Age in Britain was a period of social change, from shifts in communal identities to increasing foreign influences. This is clearly evidenced by developments and innovations in technologies and material culture. The Iron Age was also the period in which the first coins appeared, which were historically referred to as Celtic coins. They feature ornate imagery and complex designs, as you can see in this video. These coins were used and produced variably through time from around the 2nd century BC to the mid-1st century AD. They were first imported from around 150 BC, but shortly thereafter they began to be minted locally. Although they were originally based on Hellenistic and Roman prototypes, they rapidly developed their own striking iconography and remained in circulation as late as AD 100. Such complex imagery has made their purpose and function the subject of much debate, but they are doubtless a major source of information on late Iron Age society, trade, religious beliefs, and continental contacts. Iron Age coins in Britain did not, perhaps, look as refined in their production as many of their contemporary counterparts from the classical world. The British coins were made by striking the blanks between two dies, a hammer die and an anvil die, and the outcome was not always very consistent. The concave and convex dies resulted in a very dished coin, and often the edges were very uneven. However, despite these aspects, they still exemplify incredible detail, artistry, and craftsmanship. Because the dies were larger than the blanks themselves, the result is that no one coin shows the full engraved image of the dies. Here we see 3 different coins from the same 2 dies, but which include different parts of the engraved design. When you merge the coin images together, you can see a fuller representation of the total image. This reminds us that the coins were always sort of incomplete. You can almost imagine someone in the Iron Age collecting different coins from the same production center and fitting them together to see the complete picture. British Iron Age coins share many similarities with coins that were produced concurrently in Europe. They often feature human heads or images of people, sometimes mythological-looking creatures or inscriptions, and there are plenty of animals. However, the inscriptions we find on British Iron Age coins cannot always be explained. The motifs cannot always be defined, and this has made dating them more complicated. We typically make use of general dates and phases, such as this one here, to put these coins in a chronological context, which is also regionally variable. Coins weren't made consistently across all of Britain. This distribution map on the left shows you all the individual find spots of recorded Iron Age coins known around 2010. Because of the tradition of metal detecting and reporting in the UK, hundreds and often thousands of coins are found each year, so this map is a little out of date now. but it clearly shows us that coins are found primarily in southern and eastern England, what is now typically referred to as the Iron Age coin zone. But who was making and using these coins? We often see maps like this one on the right, which neatly divide up southern and eastern England into tribal areas. But these tribal names are largely based on Roman sources, some of which were in use hundreds of years after the Iron Age. It's unknown whether or not these tribes existed during the local coin-producing period, or if the communities living there thought of themselves in these terms. The name Vectuari, for example, is shown here as the Iron Age tribe from the Isle of Wight. However, the first mention of them as a named community is in Bede's history from the 7th century AD. With so many complexities, archaeologists and numismatists who study these coins require large datasets to make sense of these enigmatic little artifacts. We are lucky in the UK to have a number of resources which have collected an enormous quantity of data on these coins. The main resource is the Celtic Coin Index. The CCI was founded in 1961 by Derek Allen and Shepard Frere. It currently exists in multiple digital and analog forms, primarily as paper index cards, as you can see on the right, which are housed in rows and rows of filing cabinets in the Institute of Archaeology at Oxford. The CCI mainly contains British Iron Age coinage, but it also contains some continental Iron Age coins that have been found in Britain. Since its inception, the CCI has been recording coins not only from finders and museums, but also from auction houses and eventually eBay and other online coin markets. This means that one coin could be recorded multiple times, as it flows through a cycle of sale and resale between the public domain and private collections. The CCI is very much a living archive, as new records are still actively being added. Since 2018, our team has been working to digitize the entire collection by scanning the physical cards, cleaning up the already transcribed data, and transcribing new data on recent cards through a crowdsourcing platform. Our amazing research assistant, as you can see her here, recently finished the scanning process, and the result is a digital dataset of about 84,000 cards of 68,000 specimens. The culmination of all this work will be a new linked open data website built on a completely open source platform called Numishare. As I give this lecture, we are only weeks away from the launch of the Celtic Coin Index Digital on the 4th of March. Although we haven't officially launched, I'll give you a sneak peek at the new CCID website. On this website, you will be able to browse through the entire archive, as well as conduct specific searches within the different fields or through free text terms. On the About page, you can read about the history of the Celtic Coin Index and learn more about who has contributed to this dataset since its inception in 1961. The Info page gives you a fuller description about the data, as well as detailed descriptions of all the fields included. When we launch, you will also be able to see distribution maps and use visualization tools to map and query the data. We hope you'll visit the website after the 4th of March. This standalone digital dataset is an incredible resource on its own, but it would be even more powerful if it could be linked to other coin collections across the globe. This brings us to our second project, which is the resource that connects the Celtic Coin Index specimens to other online databases. The Iron Age Coins in Britain Typology website, or IACB, is based on the published Typology Ancient British Coins. The Ancient British Coins typology is the most widely used for Iron Age coins found in Britain. It was written for a general audience, which means that it is an easy reference manual that anyone can use. At the time of its publication in 2010, it included 999 different types. New types have since been defined, although have not yet been published, which we plan to include on the IACB website. One of the key benefits of an online resource such as this is the ability to make typologies more fluid. They can be edited and supplemented to in a more timely fashion than a printed book. The aims of the IACB project were simple. Our goal was to digitize the typology and make it freely available online. The authors of ancient British coins were kind enough to provide us with support for this first step and gave us permission to publish what was included in their book. Our plan was then to publish the typology online using linked open data principles and the NumaShare open source platform created by Ethan Gruber of the American Numismatic Society. And lastly, we aimed to make this resource more inclusive of archaeological knowledge and new data since 2010. The Iron Age Coins in Britain Typology website was published at the end of March in 2021. Since then, it has been used to connect major collections, as you can see on this slide. But how does that actually work? The IACB site is not a database itself. Rather, it pulls records from existing databases and gives them a centralized home. This is possible because all the databases it talks to use the same architecture and grammar, which are created by a collaborative project called Numisma. Numisma.org provides stable digital representations of numismatic concepts, such as production places, denominations, and political entities. It does so according to the principles of linked open data. These take the form of HTTP URIs, which we would just recognize as web links, which provide access to reusable information about those concepts. Any database, regardless of native language, can implement these identifiers, as well as a standardized semantic data model, in order to contribute numismatic data through a centralized multilingual interface. This interface, the IACB website, displays example specimens of each coin type, as well as queries of the underlying Iron Age knowledge graph, in order to facilitate the visualization of the production and circulation of these types over time and space. As I'm speaking, the IACB website now draws in over 37,000 coins from collections in the USA, France, Germany, Switzerland, and UK. We can use a specific example from the IACB site to demonstrate how it works. The IACB site can be browsed or searched using a number of predefined fields. Each type has a unique ABC number. On the Browse page, you can see a list of basic information, including the date, denomination, a short description of the imagery on the obverse and reverse sides, and a specimen example. The Refine Search function allows you to search the entire typology contents by authority, ruler, denomination, manufacturer, material, or region. Perhaps you want to see all the coins that are attributed to the Caduvalauni. You can click on Authority, then tick Caduvalauni from the drop-down menu, and when you refine the search, all the coins attributed to the Caduvalauni appear on the page. As I mentioned before, we use the tribe names very loosely here, mainly for the purpose of connecting datasets, but not with an intention to define bounded groups that cannot be identified archaeologically. In the background, a number of things are taking place when you conduct these searches. The query is collecting all the records from the connected online databases through these defined URIs, in this case, the concept Caduvalauni. This term also connects to related terms that have been identified and defined by Numisma, such as the region where they are found, in this case the North Thames, the denomination of this coin type, in this case a stater, and the material of this coin type, which is gold. All of these concepts are defined on Numisma's website, so anyone can look them up. Here, we learn that the Caduvalauni were a group present in southern Britain, in parts of Hertfordshire, Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire, Buckinghamshire, and Northamptonshire. We can also see the term in other languages. This enables databases that are not in English to connect to the IACB website. All the fields used by the IACB website are defined on the info page. This includes the ABC type number, a date range, denomination, and material. It also tells you how the coin was manufactured, mainly to distinguish between those that were struck and those that were cast. Other fields contain information about who made the coins. Unfortunately, there are only a handful of individuals we know of from written sources, such as Commius or Verica, but the rest of the names written on Iron Age coin inscriptions are fairly hypothetical. Some would have referred to rulers, but they could also have been moneyers, minters, or important traders. We have also included on this website connections to other typologies of Iron Age coins, such as those defined in Van Arsdale's Celtic coinage of Britain, or Spink's coins in England and the United Kingdom. The context we give here is particularly important for British Iron Age coins, for as I mentioned before, unlike some of their classical counterparts, ours are decidedly complicated. Depending on who you ask, people will have different opinions on most aspects of these coins, from things as simple as what to call a denomination, to more complicated aspects such as interpreting their imagery. For example, in the Iron Age, how do you define who is the authority or ruler? Were there actually tribes in the Iron Age? Many of the so-called tribal regions are cyclically defined, as coins have been used to define production centers, but then also assumed to be from those production centers because they're found there. These are just some of the complexities that arise from this material culture. On the IACB site, you can browse through the types as we've just seen, but you can also conduct a search on any combination of fields contained in the website. Sticking with our previous example, we can search for all the staters of the Caduvalauni, and perhaps even search for a specific motif, such as a wreath. This returns 11 types that fulfill these criteria. If we click on a type, for example, ABC 2433, we can see all the linked data, which are different individual coins held in these various collections. These include coins from the American Numismatic Society, the National Library in France, and the Money Cabinet in Berlin, the Swiss National Museum, and the British Museum. All the basic information about this coin type is listed on the left, including the date range, denomination, material, geographic region, and the description of the ornamentation on the obverse and reverse sides. On the right is a distribution map, which shows you where all the ABC 2433 type coins are found. You can also make this map full screen. If you want to learn more about an individual coin, you can click on that coin, which will take you to its origin database. This coin, for example, is part of the American Numismatic Society collection. As you see here, they give all the details about this particular coin. Other pages on the site provide background and contextual information, lists of contributors, and visualization tools. We can take a look at an example of how to use the visualization tools. If we click on typological analysis, we can analyze any combination of the fields contained in the website. If I choose denomination and then Caduvalauni, the results will show me that 62.5% of all the coins were units. 14.4% were quarter staters, and 18.1% were staters. Other denominations are also present, but there are far fewer of those represented. The IACB joins a group of 10 other coin typology websites which use the numisma identifiers to link coin collections across the globe. These include Online Coins of the Roman Empire, which contains over 43,000 types of Roman imperial coinage from Augustus in 31 BC until AD 491. It also includes Pella, which contains over 20,000 examples of the coinage of Macedonian kings. and Ptolemaic Coins Online, which provides access to the coins listed in the print volumes of Coins of the Ptolemaic Empire by Catherine C. Lorber. The IACB, however, is the first that focuses solely on non-Roman, non-Greek Iron Age coins. We hope that it will serve as a resource for anyone, from researchers to find specialists, and will help further integrate coins into wider studies of Iron Age material culture. One of our main goals with these websites was to engage new audiences with Iron Age coins and highlight the contribution they can make to the study of later prehistory in Britain. With a small grant from our university, we began a public engagement project called More Than Money: Coins in Iron Age Britain. This aimed to trial a number of different imaging techniques that could be used to research the coins and creative, interactive models with which people could play around with directly. We also created a number of learning resources about these objects to give background and context for the models. These can all be found on our project website. We've prepared a short video that shows you some of the highlights of this project. In this 3D model, created from photogrammetry, we have labeled specific parts of the coin to point out some of its details. You can click on different numbers to learn more about the coin's ornamentation and the way that they were produced. By moving the 3D model around with your mouse, you can explore the shape and thickness and dished quality of these coins. This is the same coin, but which was recorded using reflectance transformation imaging. This process stitches together multiple images of the coin that were taken using a changing light source. Using a specific computer program, you can move the light source around to highlight different aspects of the coin. Through these techniques, we can spot details that cannot be easily seen with the naked eye. This coin is a silver Berry B unit that was probably made around 30 BC. We also laser scanned the coins to create 3D models that can be explored online. This is a silver Eki B unit, which was likely made from AD 35 to 60. This type depicts horses, some with their riding equipment. Eki and Eken were common inscriptions, but we do not know to whom or what these names refer. This coin is a silver Berry A unit made around 30 BC. It features an adorned human head and serpent, but we do not know who this person was. Perhaps it is an idealized image that does not refer to a specific individual. You can view all these models on a website called Sketchfab. These laser scans are useful not only for creating interactive models, they can also be used to make 3D printed replicas, such as this one here. This is 10 times the size of the real coin, which makes it easier for people to see their detailed ornamentation. To give them a more realistic look, we gilded them in gold and silver leaf. These replicas are featured in a new special display in the Ashmolean Museum's Money Gallery, alongside genuine Iron Age coins and other contemporary artifacts. This display leads you into the visual world of the Iceni, a community that inhabited present-day East Anglia. They are best known for their famous queen, Boudica, who led an uprising against the Romans in AD 60 and 61. The coins bear intricate imagery depicting a wide range of motifs, from boars to horses and human heads. Some contain hidden faces, a visual trope used in other Iron Age art found in Britain. Visitors can learn more about the history of the Iceni through their coins and the contemporary material culture on display, and marvel at these tiny objects that carry really big ideas. We hope you can come see the display, which is open until the end of October. Thank you for listening to this talk, and please do visit our websites to learn more about these projects.